Morning, Hawking. Welcome to Tuesday Maths. So, today we need to be able to add and subtract fractions with the same denominator within one whole. So, we're keeping under one if we're year three. Do the same thing, but we're going way past number one. We're going larger than that. And year fives, add and subtract them even if they don't have the same denominator. There's different numbers on the bottom. Okay, we're going to warm up today. I'm going to talk about my bit. You're going to have a chance to do your bit in the questions. And we'll also got a challenge. And I've got a challenge for each different year group. So let's get ourselves warmed up. I'm going to set it to 3 seconds, but you can pause in between questions as much as you'd like to get these done. Here we go. There's your answers. Pause the video and mark them up. Of course, those times table multiplication knowledge are going to be really useful for what we're up to today, especially if you're year 5 and you're converting. So, if I start off with 4 sevenths, add 2 sevenths. We're adding the same type of things. I often like to imagine if I had 4 Ferraris and I added 2 more Ferraris to my garage, well, I'm going to have 6 Ferraris. I'm not going to suddenly have 6 something else's. So think about that denominator on the bottom as staying the same when we're adding up the same fractions with the same denominators. So 4 sevenths add 2 sevenths. We add the numerators on the top, but the denominator on the bottom stays the same. We could do this one together. 3 ninths add 4 ninths. Shout out, what are we going to put on the bottom as our denominator? That's right, it's going to stay the same. They're ninths, and we're adding more ninths, so they're going to stay ninths. So now we just need to pair up our numerators on the top there. We've got 3 ninths, add 4 ninths. Yes, well done, 7 ninths. It's pretty straightforward when you've got brains as big as you lot and you know that you keep the denominator on the bottom the same. We end up saying 1/4 added on to 2/4 is going to be 3/4. You're right. Have a think about this one before I put in your answers. 6 tenths, add 2 tenths. Oop. 8 tenths. Yeah, I made a mess of my 10 there. So 5 eighths plus 7 eighths. The denominators are the same, so what's our answer going to have as a denominator? Yes, well done. Still going to be in eighths. 5 and 7, you might start scratching your head though, because here we're going to end up with 12 eighths. So that's more than 8 eighths. It's more than a whole. Yes, we've got a fraction which is larger than 1. So year 4s, this is where your learning objective comes in, where we go over that whole 1. So we're adding ninths to ninths, so we can have a denominator in our answer of ninths. And we've got 4 ninths add 6 ninths, which gives us 10 ninths. So tell me, is 10 ninths, is that more than 1 whole or less than 1 whole? Shout it out now. Yes, you're right. It's more than one whole. 9/9 would be a whole one because you've got 9 bits out of all 9. But here we've got 10/9. So you've got a whole one plus an extra ninth. And sometimes you might see this written as one whole and 1/9. Both of those answers are equally correct. Let's move on. We got 2/6 add 2/3. Uh-oh. I don't have the same denominator on the bottom. I can't add two different ones together. I need to make them the same. I need to get them to be the same. Now, you might find it easiest to go upwards, really, and think, right, I've got a 3 here. How can I turn this 3 into being a 6? Okay, oh, I know. I can multiply it by 2. I can times it by 2. So 2/6 added on to 2/3 is no good. So I'm going to multiply this to get it into being 6ths. Of course, if I've done that to the bottom, I've got to do the same to the top. So I've got to times that by 2 as well. Our 2/6 is already in 6ths, of course. So I've made my question a bit easier there. 2/6 add 4/6. Now, we worked on converting fractions before, and that's all I've done here. I've made 2/3. I've doubled the top and doubled the bottom to make it 4/6. Okay, so now I can have an answer where my denominator is 6. And if I add up all the things on the top, 2 and a 4, I get 6. Now remember year 5, 6/6. Well, that's equivalent to 1 whole. It's the same thing. Each of those would be equally valid answers. Oh, now I've got another where the denominator is different. What could I turn both of these denominators into? I think I'm going to go upwards again. So I'm going to keep 1/8 as 1/8. I know that I can turn 3/4. I can turn that 4 into an 8 by multiplying it by 2. I can times it by 2. So I must do the same to the top. 3 times 2 makes 6. Now I can add them together. 1/8 plus 6/8. I do get an answer with 8ths as my denominator. And I've managed to collect up 7 of them. 7/8. When I go on further, I've got 1/4 add 3/4. I can't have the same number on the bottom here with quarters and 12ths, so I need to really make sure that I get them all into 12ths. I think that's the easiest thing. 3/12 is fine to stay as 3/12. How can I make 4? I can't double that. Multiplying it by 2 is just not going to work. Ah, I know. 4 times 3 makes 12. So I must do the same to the top. 1 times 3 is going to be 3. Now I can add up my 12ths all together. I've got 3/12 and I've got 3/12. So I end up with 6/12 as my answer. And some of you year 5s will notice, well, that's exactly the same as simplifying it to a half, because 6 is half of 12. Finally, 2/5 add 6/20. I'm going to go upwards again and try and hit 20ths. So 6/20 is fine. I'll keep that with there. How many lots of 5? Oh, yes, 5 times 4 makes 20. So if I've times the bottom by 4, I must times the top by 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 8/20 add 6/20 is going to leave me with 14/20, just over half. So, chilli 1 challenge. We're up to the you do bit. You're a chilli 1. We've got some fractions here to add together and subtract, and they all have the same denominator. Well, within each question, of course. Pause the video when you need to, and try all of those. Your challenge, chilli 1s or year 3s there, is right there at the bottom. Will this total more or less than 1 whole? 6/9 add 4/9. Will your answer be more or less than a whole 1? Two chilli people. We've got some fractions to add and subtract together, but they may spill over the whole 1 quite often. Pause the video whenever you need to. And take note on F here. It's 5/7 add 3/7 is equal to 1/7 add something else. And your challenge. 3/5 add 4/5 is equal to 9/5, take away something. You've got a second challenge as well. If you eat 1/5 of a pizza each day, how long will it be until you've eaten 2 whole pizzas? So, 3 chilli people. You're going to need to convert to make sure that you've got the same denominator on the bottom of each of these fractions. And your challenge is to hunt for a mistake in here and then explain it. Good luck, mathematicians. See you soon.